Nightmares, because this will remind you of last year. Some of you are going to be like, bring it on. I love this stuff. So if you're the accountant type, you like crunching numbers, you're going to love this, okay? Just so you know what's going to happen here. When you have one of these tables, what we're going to do is we're going to break down every single month into the interest part and the principal part of that payment, okay? And you're like, what are you talking about? It's been the weekend. I don't get it, Mr. Dixon. I'll show you real quick what I mean by an amortization table. Go to page 26. It's important that you understand what it is that you're doing. I don't want you to just blindly plug in numbers. If you go to 26, just keep your finger on 37, okay? Because we're going back there. But this particular loan was paid off in 12 months, over a year, and every single month you had the interest portion and the principal portion. But what did the two always add up to?
The same number.
The same number. This is your payment, right? And by the way, our amortization table will look a little different, but the idea is the same. The payment will kind of be at the beginning here. So just so you know, that's what's going to happen. Our payment is going to stay the same, but these two numbers are going to change. And slowly, watch this, watch where my pencil is here, slowly the amount that you owe obviously is going down, okay? And it's going down not by your payment amount, but it's going down by the principal portion of your payment. So the bank every month says, thank you very much. They take this off of your payment, and whatever remains actually brings down this number, okay? So if you want to go on page 26, you're going to go minus 810.66. See the 810 here? I'm going to highlight that. This portion brought down our loan the first month, okay? And then guess what? The second month comes along, it goes down by 814.71, 818, and so forth. What happens to the principal as time goes by? Does it go up or down? It goes up, right? What happens to the interest as time goes by? It goes down. You should see that pattern. If you don't, go back to the drawing board. You probably made a mistake. You drew the wrong number, okay? Let's go to 37 and do this thing. Okay? And before you tell yourself, I can't do these things, don't say that. You can. You just have to want to put a bit of work into it. Okay? So, there is a complicated version of this thing, and there's one where you just fill in the blank, like there's just some numbers missing. This is the complicated version that I'm going to show you today. You got to be prepared for either one. So we're going to start way from scratch. Okay, example. You purchase a vehicle for $12,000, right? Jamal purchased a vehicle for $12,000, but he had to borrow $10,000. That if I told you he had to borrow 10 grand, what would we call this number? Starts with an L. There we go. So what happened from the 12 to the 10? Like, what happened there? A down payment happened, most likely, right? You bought it for 12 grand, but you had to borrow 10. That means that there was a $2,000 down payment. Don't overthink it too much, because most likely I won't overdo it like this on an AC or test, okay? Interest rate is 4.25, and it's over 3 years. Complete the amortization table below. First and foremost, we need to know what the payment is. Calculate the monthly payment. We will go ahead and do that. Payment is $10,000. That is our loan. We know that already. Times some sort of table rate, which is going to be divided by 1,000. So you're like, what about the subtracting, Mr. Dirksen? We always subtract. When we already know the loan, we don't bother with the subtracting. Okay, that is what we're borrowing. This table rate, let's go get it from page 32. We need to match 4.25 and 3 years. Let's go and do it. I'm like Dory. I forget everything right away. 4.25, 3 years. That's 29.69?
No, 29.80.
Double check. 29.69, right? That's what I get. Right, Dean?
Yeah.
All right, it happens. Okay, there we go. Multiply, divide. I'm already gonna just give you the number because at this point, you should know already how to figure out the monthly payment. This is the payment. That's how much I'm going to pay every single month. Okay. Sometimes I just flat out give that to you in the table. It's just in there. In this case, it wasn't. Okay, so just make an arrow. Tell yourself every single month. We're only going to do this for the first 3 months, by the way. We're not going to go past that. There's maybe a bonus question where I might ask you to do it, but this number goes in here. It doesn't change. Once you determine the monthly payment, you can bet that it goes in here. It's the same. Okay. Now we need to figure out the interest for the first month and the money towards principal on the first month, and then something is going to happen to that unpaid balance. We start with 10 grand, okay? I would like to highlight, but I need some highlighters for the actual table when I do the work, so we'll just leave it for now. You go over here where it's interest here. You go I equals loan times interest rate divided by 100. All of that divided by 12. I hope this rings a bell. This is interest paid in the first month. I don't know if you remember that. You should have it on your study sheet. It's on page 27. There's a lot of hints there. And then this one here, I want to make a big cap, like a lowercase I, but nice and big so it sticks out here. Money towards principal is the lowercase p. Okay, lowercase p. How do you find lowercase p once you have I? Like this is the amount of principal the first month. We go p is minus I, yeah. If I would make a study sheet, okay, if I would add this to my study sheet, I'll tell you already what I would do. I wouldn't have 3 lines. I would just have something like this that kind of tells me, right, this is lowercase I, this is lowercase p, and then to figure out the balance owing here, we just go unpaid balance minus, we're going to subtract whatever number we got in here. And let me just tell you, you're going to have to practice this. You're not going to ace this if you're just going to watch me do it, okay? After this, you're going to have to try a few yourself. What's my loan here? I already used the yellow highlighter for loan. So I'm just going to make it like show up everywhere. Okay, my loan is 10 grand, and that is the 10 grand I have here. Let's highlight loan in here as well so you understand. It's all about the loan, right? At the beginning, you owe 10 grand. I left these nice and big. I made it big because we can do the work in here. But if it's not, then you do it outside of the box somewhere on the side, okay? So here we go. Interest on the first month. We're going to take our 10 grand. We're going to multiply it by interest rate divided by 100. I'm just going to already do that. Interest rate is 4.25. Divided by 100 is 0.0425. I just don't want to have too many steps in here. All of that gets divided by 12. So you grab your calculator. Rounding is always a problem here. So you just got to make sure you do that correctly. And there it is. My first month interest portion of the payment I'm going to make it nice and big, right? That's the number that should go in there with $sign and all. Okay. So out of this payment, folks, I know you're copying, so you're not. Out of this payment, they're going to take $35.42 the first month, and then obviously there's some principal left over. There's some money left over. That's going to bring this number down. So we're going to go the payment, $296.90 minus the $35.42. I think especially today it's important to show what you're doing here. And that's going to give you, do you remember this from last year? It's in grade 11. At some point you do this in grade 11, I know that. So that's 261.48. So if you want to know if you did this right, you should be able to add these two numbers up and get that. Okay, always. These two numbers always add up to your payment. And then here, I actually show that step right here. I'm going to say, well, that means that the first month, right, this principal portion brings down my loan. Oh. They make them like tanks these days, their cell phones, so don't worry about it. They make them out of helicopter glass, right? And then you still smash your screen. I'm like, I don't know how safe a helicopter is. So after the first month, right, this number is what you end up subtracting there every single time. And once you figure out the interest, you take that away from your payment. I don't know how many highlighters you have. You're probably like, whoa, right? Too many highlighters for me. But then you just see what's happening. Let me give you another hint here. Once you figure out the interest, okay, listen carefully. Once you figure out the interest in the first month, it's all adding or subtracting. Did you notice that? Or actually just subtracting if you start here. Right? You subtract the interest from your payment, boom, you get the principal. You subtract the principal from what you were owing, so now you owe this much after the first month. Guess what? It all repeats itself from here on in. So this is now your quote-unquote loan is now only $97.38. So you bring that with you. So you go $97.38.52, and guess what? The interest rate doesn't change. So you do this all again. Okay, you repeat that step. Yeah. And I'm going to use a red pen for this. I'm just going to do an arrow because if you understand this part, let's see if I can do this. Oh yeah, that doesn't work, did it? The red pen is like, all I'm made to do is check marks or X's. Don't make me do lines, right? But this number comes over here, and then it's just copy paste, right? Copy paste. So let's figure out the interest. It should be less than $35.42. The first month is the highest amount you're going to pay ever on interest, and then it goes down. So this is what, 34? Yes. I know that some of us are so used to the new system, right? You go to pay for something, $34.50 if it's cash, right? But you still need to round accordingly. So that's your interest, and so you go $296.90 minus $34.49. 262.41, which makes sense. It should go up a little bit. Okay? And then this number subtracts again. Okay? So 262.41. Watch what I do. I already have this on my calculator, so I'm going to go minus the top number, and it's okay. You just have to be okay with the negative that's going to show up, but it's 94.76.11. So to save you time from having to retype it, it's up to you. If you're not comfortable with that, just let it go. Just redo it. A few more seconds. So then this number comes with you again, and I'll stop writing I. I'm just going to go 94.76.11 times 0.0425 divided by 12. I technically could have left this on my screen. I erased it, right? But 33.56 is my third month. So it's almost like this is technically how much interest did you pay on your third month's payment, right? How much of your third month's payment went towards interest? The answer is 33.56. And then you subtract one more time. And that's 263.34, which makes sense. It's going up. And one more here. $92.12.77. So this is the hardest scenario where you have to fill in every single number. But you need to know that if I had given you the 3542, if I had given you this number, I would expect you to know it's like, oh, payment minus that gives me this, right? And if I had given you this number, I would expect you to know, oh, I just need to take my loan, subtract this number to get my next unpaid balance, right, for that, like at the end of the first month. So how to add and subtract to fill in the rest, I would expect you to know, but we'll do more of that tomorrow. Okay. I will skip C, all those C, A, B, whatever happened there. We'll skip that for now, and I'll just ask you to try one on page 38. I need you to have that down before we go today. Have one done on your own. To practice after that, I'm just going to basically say 39 to 40. Okay. I would say you should do at least one more after this one to know you're doing okay. And without maybe looking, I mean, you can have your study sheet. That's fine. And I'll just give you what the answer is here, okay? I'll give you the answer. So if you want to write this number, or should I give you this one already? I'll give you this one as well. So I'll put it in brackets here. 2942. If you don't want to see it, just close your eyes. It's on page 38. 61. And then the very last is 28, 27, 18. I may post this one. I'll for sure post 39 to 40. But on page 38, you know what these numbers in here are supposed to be. Okay. That gives you a bit of a guide. Thank you, guys. Great audience.